Hi everyone, my name is Lauren and welcome back to my library. So today I'm going to be bringing you my 5 favourite sci-fi books. These are all YA novels, and to be honest I haven't read a whole lot of sci-fi. I've read quite a few but not as many as I would like to. These are just like my standout ones of the books I've read. So they are by no means the best of the entire world. They're just the ones that I have read. So let's get into it. The first one I'm going to pick is A Thousand Pieces of You by Claudia Gray. I was genuinely surprised when I read these, and I enjoyed this series so much more than I expected to. I feel like the world and the characters within these novels is just like so much more than what I could have asked for. So basically we are following Margaret, who has the ability to travel between alternate universes and alternate dimensions, and basically she is trying to find the dimension where they're trying to take over all of the dimensions and like destroy them all, and she's basically trying to save every single version. And these, I cannot even express how much I just loved them so much. I think that the only thing that I would say that wasn't the greatest was the love interest. Was just like, it was a little bit cliche for me. So basically in every dimension that she visits, she takes on the person that she's supposed to be there, and she falls in love with the same person in almost every single world that she visits. There's one where she's in a relationship with like the third guy, like the love triangle dude, and that was an enjoyable chapter to read, but I would have liked there to be a few alternate realities where the two love interests were in a relationship with each other and just like didn't care about her. But I feel like the general plot of this novel was just so good. I would read this over and over again, and I probably will. The next sci-fi novel that I want to talk about is Uglies by Scott Westerfeld. This is one of the first novels that I ever read when I first got into reading, and it has stuck with me for so long. I feel like the message behind this novel was so important. So I honestly can't remember any of the names from any of the novels, any of the series for this, but I do remember the general theme, which was on your 15th birthday, I believe, is it your 16th birthday, you can basically rebuild yourself. Like, you can rearrange your features and decide what you want to look like in order for you to be pretty. And then you're kept in like this camp basically away from the main society until you turn 16 and you become a pretty, and then you get to move and like mesh with the rest of the world. And it's all like very fancy and high tech, and it's basically life-changing once you move into that step, and everything kind of changes. And just before, what's her name, Tally's 16th birthday, she meets someone who kind of changes her perspective on life and really starts to make her question what being pretty is all about, and if it's something that is necessarily something that you should want to strive for in life. And I feel like that message was so important at the time that I read this, where social media was really starting to take the forefront in everyone's lives, and what you were showing everyone was being judged around the world. So I think that this novel was very important for me to read at that time, and I think that a lot of people in their mid-teens, early teens would find this novel really interesting still. I don't know if it holds up now, but I would assume so, because I don't ever remember questioning how it was written. I still read it in my mid to late teens, so this one I would definitely recommend. The third book I have to talk about is The Disasters by M.K. England. This has to be one of the most fun books I have ever read. I don't think I was ever bored in this novel. The humor is so on point. the plot was ever changing and keeping me engaged and keeping me guessing. I could never see anything that was coming, and this book made me so happy. Like, I laughed out loud in so many moments, and I wanted to cry in some moments, and it just definitely was keeping me very much engaged. I absolutely love this novel, and I would recommend it to everyone. This one reminds me a lot of Aurora Rising, and I read this one first, and honestly I would rather this over Aurora Rising. So I'm pretty sure that's probably an unpopular opinion, but this is like one of the most underrated books that I've ever read. So we are following Max, who has just been kicked out of an elite space academy, and is being sent back to Earth with a whole bunch of other people. And as their ship leaves the academy, the academy blows up. There's this huge terrorist attack, and they are the only witnesses and the only people alive that know what happened. So it is their job, a whole bunch of misfits who have just been kicked out of the best academy in the world, to save the academy. And I think that I just love this book so much. The representation within this novel is just like, it's everything that I want is in here. Like, this is just like, yeah. If you haven't read this novel, I urge you to pick it up, because it is definitely one of the most underrated novels I've ever read. Alright, so now we are up to my two favourites. These are pretty much on point. I can't pick which one I like the most. So I'm going to talk about Gemini by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This was a whirlwind of a book. I cannot believe how insane this book was. Like, there were so many plot twists that I never saw coming. There was so much, I freaking love this book, guys. And I just remember how I felt when I read it, and I was so enthralled and so invested in these characters, and I was just, this is everything that I want in a book. Like, if I could reread this again for the first time, I would do it over and over again. I cannot wait until I can reread these novels a million times in my lifetime. I just don't think that it's something that I will ever get sick of, and I think it's been a few years now that I could probably reread it and still be surprised by some of the plot twists that come along. I just love this book so much. Hannah is such a badass, and Nick is just like my book boyfriend. He's like the only one where I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. And I have so many feelings. I couldn't even. So if you don't know this book, you have been living under a rock. This is the second book in the Illuminae files, and it is my entire life. I would die for this book. I love this book so much. I don't even know what to say. I just have so many feelings, and I can't express what I want to say because it's all just a jumble inside my head. It's just like a whole bunch of noises, really. And then the last book is also one of my favorites of all time, and that is Sci-Fi by Neil Shusterman. I remember reading this and being so blown away by the world building and the characters and the relationships and just like the intricate parts of this world that I feel only Neil Shusterman could have done this justice. So basically this is what it says. It says, a world without hunger, no disease, no war, no misery. Humanity has conquered all things. It has even conquered death. So now that there is no death within this new futuristic world, there is a new job that needs to be implemented called the Scythes. So basically they have to pick who dies, and then they have to go and kill them. And this is just like such a mind-blowing book to me. Like, this concept is so wild but so entertaining at the same time. It's just amazing. So basically we are following two main characters, Citra and Rowan, who have just become apprentices to be a scythe. You do not get to choose if you want to be a scythe. Basically they choose people who don't want to be it because killing someone is something that you should not want to do. So we are following those two main characters as they are starting their apprenticeship and learning the ways on how to kill humans. And there is some whole messed up stuff in this. Obviously, there is always going to be a villain in this type of novel, and we are following Scythe Goddard, I believe is his name. It doesn't mention it, but he is basically someone who is very much trying to change the way people see scythes, and is someone who enjoys hunting down people and killing them for a living. So whilst this isn't something that is supposed to be allowed, it's never really dealt with, and he kind of gains a lot of momentum within the scythe society and causes a little bit of havoc. And I have to say, the end of this novel has to be like one of my favorite endings of all time. It was such a cliffhanger, and I just loved it so much. And I haven't even read the third book, and I am ashamed of myself for saying that, but I'm definitely going to get to it this year, I promise. So those are all the books I have to talk about. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know in the comments below what your favourite sci-fi novels are, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!